Good morning, everyone. Again, as Andres mentioned, I'm Cynthia Aguirre, and Jorge Estefan will introduce himself or be part of the presentation as well, but I'll begin it. And we're the facilitators, instructors for the Latino leadership class at Skagit Valley College. And we are happy to have the opportunity to provide leadership skills to our Latino students. And today, our presentation will be focused on team formation and project planning. The intent is that this information will be helpful for you as you begin working on your team projects. So next slide, Jorge, please. Okay, so we'd like to begin with a leadership quote from John Quincy Adams. Let me just, there we go. So what is leadership? So her statement was, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. So that's just a great quote that we all have a leader inside of us. So it's just a good reminder of what leadership is. Next slide, please. So many of you may be asking yourselves these questions. How do you engage in a project in a way that honors the dreams and growth of the team? And where do you begin? Next slide. And John Echohawk, president of the Native American Rights Fund, believed this. So how does a leader know what people value and what? Really simple. They ask, then they really listen. When I am part of a group that is non-native, I am usually quiet and spend a great amount of time listening and watching. I want to know what other people think before I offer my opinion. Really, listening is what I do first. Next slide, Jorge. So there are three main stages of team formation, and they are the initial forming period, and then establishing your community agreements and the team maintenance of your project. So during the initial forming period, you will all have the time to define who is going to be on your team. You'll clarify the larger purpose, which is why are we here? Why are you here? What do you care about? And then during the community agreement period, it's going to be an opportunity for you as a team to list who your team members are, their contact information, their hopes and desires while you work together during the project. You'll establish and schedule your ongoing meetings to continue to work on your projects together. You'll specify and define the needs and roles of your team. And during the team maintenance period, you'll specify your check-in times. You'll assess what's working well, what isn't working well, what can be changed, or what could be better. You will indicate what commitments you will each make. And we'll provide you with some forms now to help you during this process. We'll show you what they will look like. Next slide, please, Jorge. So this is a form that you will be provided with by your instructors. I believe we're all going to be using the same forms here, but this is the one to work on while you create your community agreement. So you'll have an opportunity to give your team a name, and then you'll develop your community contract. So you'll be able to indicate 3 agreements that you as a team will follow, that you will agree to follow. You will indicate what your team values will be as you work together as a team. You will also have an opportunity to indicate what your team will care about as you work together as a team. So you'll be able to provide this as a community agreement and give to each team member to have kind of like your team norms to have so you guys can keep in mind as you work together as a team. Next slide, please. And then this is a form, it's a team roster. So it'll give you guys the ability to indicate each team member's name, email addresses, phone number, and what their best contact method is. And this is for you each to have as you work together so that you are able to reach out to one another and have each other's support. So you guys will have a way to contact each other. It's just a way to kind of have a roster of your team. Next slide, please. And as you work on your community agreements, you may be asking yourself, well, what do we list? So this is just an example of the community agreements that you can list. So you can agree to hold each other to any of the following. Again, these are just examples of the following community agreements. So you can list that you guys will be open to joy, laughter, and fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. Slow down, be present for each other, that you will be meeting weekly, that you'll communicate, email or text if you will be absent for any meetings, do what you say you will do, follow through on commitments, you'll stay curious and challenge yourselves, experience the opportunity in mistakes, accept the lack of closure and discomfort. It's okay to say, I don't know. Actively listen without judgment or preconceived ideas. You only learn when you listen. Acknowledge others' lived experiences and make room for other voices. Assume positive intent. Take responsibility for the impact. Take the learning and leave the stories. And these are important as it will define what your team agrees to do as you work together. So it's important to know that as you build your community agreements, you remember that you guys are here to collaborate together, enjoy the project, have fun, and make it a learning opportunity to be able to give something back to our community. Next slide, please. And this is an example of how you can keep track of the maintenance of your team. So these are just some ideas of how you can keep track of how you're working as a team. So at every meeting, you can keep track of if you guys are developing your agenda, your outcomes, if you guys are assigning somebody to facilitate each meeting, having a note taker, if you guys are following the agenda, managing your time well. So it's just an example of how you can keep your team maintenance. So just keeping track that everything is going well and working well for your team. Next slide, please. So as you begin your project process, there's several phases, and I pretty much explained phase 1 right now, but I will go over it again, which is the important phase of when you build the team. So again, it's your initial forming of the team, which is when you define who is on the team, you clarify the large purpose, which is why are you here and what do you care about? You develop your community agreements, which is when you list your team members, your contact information, your hopes and desires. You schedule your ongoing meetings, you specify and define the needs and roles. And then again, your team maintenance, where you keep track of your check-in times, if things are working well or what could be better. And then the closure, which is when you define the end or transition. Are some going to stay? Are you going to continue to work together? And you perform your honorable closure. And then I'm going to pass it on to Jorge to continue the remaining of the presentation.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thanks so much. So my name is Jorge Estefan. I'm going to introduce myself really quick. So I work at the Economic Development Alliance of Skagit County, and I'm facilitating this amazing program with Cynthia at the Skagit Valley College. So I see some familiar names. I don't see the faces, but so, and I'm happy to be here. And you guys wake up. I think you're really, I think you're asleep and I cannot see your faces, but I hope you're not. So I'm going to start with the presentation. So as Cynthia said, she went over the first phase, and then I'm going to talk about a little bit at the next phases, which is the second one is the scope, is the question driving the campaign or the project. So it's what is defining what you want to do, what the objectives and the goals of the project, and then identify the target community or the needs of that community or that project that you wanna, what are the needs, and then what needs you wanna solve or like create something for that project. And then as a leader, you gotta engage all the stakeholders, all the people that are working in the project. Everybody has to be involved and included, and try to listen to the others and understand where they're coming from. So if you see that in your project or in your team, somebody's quiet, or ask questions and then let them participate, listen to everybody, because that's what is gonna enrich this project. So the next step is the diagnose, which is but you're gonna conduct assessments of the community and what are the needs, and with the objectives that you set, you're gonna start seeing what are the possible organizations or things that you can provide, or you can create a project that solve a need that is already there. So you're gonna create the diagnosis, engage with the community members and the stakeholders, and identify the weaknesses and the strengths of the project, and then that way you can improve it. So, and then you gotta mobilize. Okay, a leader in this stage, it has to engage again all the stakeholders, and there are gonna be people that think different. That's why the factions, some people are gonna have different point of view. So that's why in the conversations are gonna start, and you're gonna create like an agreement or compromise and see which one is the best option. Explore potential solutions. Use a balcony view. This means that you gotta be open, you gotta see the big picture from up, down, like to include everybody in this process, right? So, and again, like I say, analyze the shareholders and resources and authorities. So, and then the next phase is mobilize, and in this phase is who is the we, who we work together to. So here you're gonna develop the detailed project on the outlines of the activities, the tasks, the responsibilities. So who is gonna do who, and what is the team, and who else is gonna participate in this, because you're gonna work with another community partner or with a school district, or depending on the project that you're doing. Form the project, team consistency, communication with members, obtaining all the things that you need to realize or do your project. Like think about the things that you are gonna need to make this project happen. And then part of the leadership skill that you need in this phase is you have to put a skin of the game for all the stakeholders. Like everybody has to be compromised, committed into the project. Establish the decision making. So how are you gonna come to agreements? How are you gonna talk about differences, problems, or different points of view, and how are you gonna overcome those? And you have to develop allies on the community that are gonna help you to do this project. And then the last stage, which is evaluate. this is the campaign, the project. So in this stage, you're gonna monitor the progress of the project and ensure that the goals and the objectives that you set at the beginning, you are doing what you said you're gonna do. So, and part of the skills that you need as a leader is engage again, always the stakeholders. Everybody has to be heard and participate, all the persons that are working on that project, even if it's on your team or the other community partner or the school district or whatever the project is, and evaluate the possibles of improving this project or continue or evaluate to continue with another project that is gonna be sustainable. So I hope you understand a little bit how it's gonna work. And then to help you do this, we're gonna have some forms. So I'm gonna show you. I already went that. So as we said, you gotta define tasks. What are you gonna do? Like, and then already Cynthia talked about create the contract, the value, brainstorm the project. That was part of the scope. So you are gonna start talking about what you wanna define or what is gonna be the project about, and then create the draft, and then you have to record those tasks and have a timeline. So that way you can have your project ready at the day of the quarter or the next quarter. So it's important to have a timeline. So so you are gonna have regular meetings. So be aware that you have to give roles to everybody and choose the topic. So type of the meeting, what is the meeting for? You have to have a facilitator. That is easier to when something is stuck there, to try to try to keep the meeting going and don't get stuck in little things. And then so also note taker, somebody's gonna be responsible for taking the notes. That way you can remember what you talk about. And then timekeeping, if this is important, every time that you meet, you have to track your time, okay? Who is gonna attend, and then the topics that you talk about, who presented, and the time, okay? And then when you're doing the project, this is gonna make sense more because you're gonna work and say, oh, that's what he was talking about. So this is a lot of theory, but when you do things, you get it, okay? Team name and team meeting minute. So every time, like if you have a meeting, you have to take the minutes, what is going on. Again, what was the purpose? We went already about this, but this is really good track. That way, when you come next meeting, you know what happened the previous meeting and where you moving towards, okay? Agenda, again, have an agenda, who's responsible for what. This is like time and attending log. You're gonna take attendance, and then so this is like the activity, and then here are gonna be the names of the people that attended that meeting, and then you're gonna record the time, okay? If you get together one Thursday or during the class for an hour and work on your project, you're gonna record that in this. And pretty much that's it. So I didn't put that quote, so I'm not gonna talk about that quote because I didn't add that quote, but I'm gonna stop sharing my screen right here. And the other thing is like this process is just for you to have an organized meetings, and I have to if you don't have a goal or you don't have a roadmap, you're gonna get lost in the process. So this is gonna help you to achieve your goal for your project. So that's the only thing that I see, like it's a lot of works, but the main purpose of all of this is that you keep track of what you do and don't get lost in the in other things. Just focus on the program or the project that you're gonna make, and then make it happen. And you're gonna do great programs. I know, great projects. I swear, like every time that I read your projects or I see projects that you have done, those are amazing and help a lot our community. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for bringing these leaders. And we need more leaders. So that's why I'm excited that Rosario is including more universities, more colleges, and this is growing. And thank you for that. And you can take it away, Andres.